Okay, that's the moon. It's a little fuzzy out here, and it's a kind of a cruddy phone, but it's slightly overcast. But what the heck is that? That's not the sun, and according to my little planet guide, it's not a planet. What the heck is that? Any help would be appreciated.
All right, guys, so we have some pretty fascinating news to talk about this morning. Some news that once again shows us what world leaders think about American leadership, aka the Biden administration, and how strong or weak we are. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't care what the mainstream liberal media says. We are respected less on the world stage because clearly, we have an idiot running the White House, and we also have idiots running the administration in general. If you don't believe me, just listen to Joe Biden himself, who's the president of the United States, basically state that half of his administration's women are actually women. Take a look.
More than half the women in my cabinet, more than half the people in my cabinet, more than half the women in my administration are women.
Yeah, so in Biden's defense, he's probably correct, okay? You never know with these Democrat weirdos in regards to who actually is a woman, who has a vagina, and who doesn't, right? We just simply don't know. I mean, again, I can name a few individuals off the top of my head who claim to be women in the Biden administration who definitely are not women, okay? But clearly Biden's an idiot, right? He's a bumbling, fumbling idiot who's clearly in over his head. And that shows weakness, right? When your leadership is incompetent, that means that probably the rest of your administration and the government as a whole is probably very incompetent. And ultimately, incompetence leads to weakness, right? An incompetent government is a weak government. And obviously, this has a trickle-down effect in regards to foreign policy and how we are perceived on the world stage. Just look at how the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan went, which was probably Biden's biggest fumble, right, of his current tenure as president of the United States. The Taliban tried this because they saw a weak president and they said, you know what, we're going to take back over this country. And they did. They successfully took back over a country that we spent trillions of dollars in 20 years trying to take over ourselves and to at least create some semblance of stability. Right? They took it back over in less than 2 months, right? If that, just a few weeks, they took it back over from us. Again, an absolute embarrassment. And our main rivals on the world stage, like Russia, for example, see these examples or these demonstrations of weakness and they take advantage of that. And in my opinion, that is why Russia invaded Ukraine. I don't think that Putin would have done that under Trump. But now we got to talk about China, who is, in my opinion, a much bigger threat than Russia to the United States. And China is trying the United States. They're testing the obvious weakness of the Biden administration and to see how we respond and what we would do in certain situations like this one, where they allegedly are flying a spy balloon over U.S. territory in U.S. airspace, potentially over sensitive nuclear sites, right? Trying to collect information and spy on our military assets.
It's broad daylight. There's no way that I could be seeing a star right now. And it was too big to be a star. And so I grabbed a couple of my coworkers just to make sure that I wasn't hallucinating.
A nation on high alert tonight after the Pentagon confirmed the mysterious flying object above the U.S. is a suspected Chinese spy balloon. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 11 tonight. That balloon was spotted over Billings, Montana on numerous occasions over the past few days. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk spoke one-on-one with the man who caught that balloon on video. And Kyle, what do you have to say?
Well, the guy who took this video definitely had to do a double take, and he wasn't alone. This strange sight in the sky was seen by people all over Montana. Now the U.S. military is keeping a close eye on it.
And I just happened to look out the window next to my cubicle, and it was just right there. It caught my eye.
Chase Doak thought his eyes were playing tricks, but when his coworkers saw the same thing in the sky, he raced home and set up a camera.
Well, hello, everybody. I am sitting in my driveway here in Billings, Montana, and right now there is a ground stop on our airport, and this thing is up in the sky.
It definitely wasn't the moon.
The moon is off to my right. I can see it. This is significantly smaller than the moon.
ET wasn't visiting Montana either.
In my photos, I could kind of see that what looked like solar panels sort of hanging off the bottom. And I said, well, that's probably it. It's probably not an extraterrestrial craft.
Today, the Pentagon said it's confident this is a Chinese spy balloon flying over sensitive sites to collect information. Montana is home to one of the nation's 3 nuclear missile silo fields at Malmstrom Air Force Base. The military sent fighter jets, including F-22s, ready to shoot down the balloon if ordered by the White House. A decision was made not to shoot it down over fears it could injure people on the ground.
Once the balloon was detected, the U.S. government acted immediately to protect against the collection of sensitive information.
Officials say the balloon is flying well above commercial air traffic.
I have no idea what it is.
Now that Chase does know, he's glad he was quick to grab his camera. His photos and videos are being shared around the world.
I was joking with family and friends that my photos and video got a little bit more attention after leaving the news business than they did while I was still there. I have a degree in photojournalism, which is why I have all the gear. And
flight data shows 3 military aircraft from Spokane also responded to this balloon sighting. The military says similar balloon activity like this have been documented in the past several years. In the studio, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. U.S. intelligence officials are accusing China of flying a surveillance air balloon over U.S. airspace. More specifically, it looks like they are trying to spy on nuclear sites, okay? Places, sites, military installations where we have intercontinental nuclear missiles, okay? Which, again, is some of our best and most powerful weapons that we have. It seems to me that, again, China's trying to get the scoop on us, right? They're trying to get the scoop. And China has actually responded to these allegations by claiming that they are launching an investigation into the suspected spy balloon flying over the U.S. This is what they're saying. So China is basically investigating this kind of the same way that they investigated the origins of COVID-19 in regards to how you can guess the investigation will conclude from China, right? But Mao is urging the U.S. and China to proceed calmly and carefully amid the suspected spy balloon investigation. So yeah, what they're saying is that, hey, don't shoot it down, right? Proceed calmly and carefully while we continue to collect sensitive information about your nuclear missile capabilities, right? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So let's read a little bit here. China has announced its government is looking into reports that a suspected Chinese spy balloon was discovered flying in U.S. airspace over Montana. Quote, China is a responsible country and has always strictly abided by international laws, and China has no intention to violate the territory and airspace of any sovereign countries, said Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning during a daily briefing on Friday. She also urged U.S. officials and Chinese authorities to proceed calmly and carefully amid the investigation. Quote, as for the balloon, as I mentioned just now, we are looking into and verifying the situation and hope that both sides can handle this together calmly and carefully, Mao added. AKA, don't shoot it down yet, right? Don't shoot it down yet, right? Now, in regards to shooting it down, it seems that the Biden administration has decided not to. And they say it's because allegedly, they don't want civilians to get hurt by, I guess, the debris falling from the spy balloon or whatever. But, that does beg the question of what would Trump do in a situation like this, right? I can imagine that Trump would say, shoot it down, right? I don't know how to do the Trump voice, okay? My Trump impersonation is terrible, so I don't know. I'm not going to do it again. But imagine that Trump would just say, shoot it down, right? He would shoot down the Chinese air balloon and then come out here and, throw up the set by posting the American flag like he did when he capped, right? When he clapped General Soleimani in Iraq, okay, the Iranian general. That's how Trump rolls, right? Shoot first, ask questions last. But again, that begs the question of, would China even be trying something like this, like flying what appears to be an obvious surveillance aircraft or vehicle, or whatever you want to call it, in U.S. airspace, right? Would they even be trying this under Trump? Would you even see something like this under Trump? Why is China so emboldened to do this in the first place? Well, it's because they smell blood in the water. They smell weakness from the Biden administration. That's the only explanation, right? Now, this comes ahead of the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, scheduled to visit China basically today, right, on Friday. So he's supposed to be going to China right now. And he's going to be the highest ranking U.S. official to visit the country since the start of the pandemic. Okay, so again, China is really just trying us. Now, they've come out and they said they've conducted their investigation. And of course, they found nothing on themselves, right? As they claim that the alleged spy balloon over the U.S. is a weather device. Okay, this is what they're saying. An alleged spy balloon spotted over the U.S. is a Chinese civilian airship which had deviated from its planned route, China says. U.S. defense officials said they believe the balloon seen above sensitive areas in recent days was in fact a high-altitude surveillance device. But in a statement, China's foreign ministry said it was used for mainly meteorological purposes. Mainly meteorological purposes. Quote, China regrets the unintended entry of the balloon into U.S. airspace. It added, the object flew over Alaska's Aleutian Islands and through Canada before appearing over the city of Billings in Montana on Wednesday, U.S. officials said. Montana is home to some of the U.S.'s nuclear missile silos. Yeah, so we decided not to shoot it down. And China's saying that it is basically a weather balloon, right? It's a weather balloon. Amazing. Isn't that the excuse that the U.S. government uses every time there's like a UFO, right? It's a weather balloon, okay? Definitely not advanced U.S. aircraft or some type of, extraterrestrial like object or whatever. Air balloon, right? China's saying, nope, definitely not a surveillance device or anything like that. Air balloon. Air balloon is always what they default to when they get caught, okay? It's kind of interesting how that works. So this is happening as China is trying the U.S. not only in our own country domestically, but also in the specifically when it comes to Taiwan, as reports have come out of Chinese military aircraft entering Taiwan's airspace. Again, as we're tracking this balloon and as the Secretary of State is set to visit China. So let's read here. More than a dozen Chinese military aircraft and 4 naval vessels were detected around Taiwan on Friday morning, defense officials said. Their incursions by Chinese warplanes have become almost a daily occurrence in recent months, but Friday's show of aggression comes ahead of a visit by Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. A high-altitude Chinese surveillance balloon was also spotted in the skies above Montana on Thursday, prompting some senators to call on Blinken to cancel his trip. Senator Steve Daines, Republican from Montana, requested a full security briefing from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin about the balloon, saying the Monstrum Air Force Base and the United States intercontinental ballistic missile fields could be the targets of the intelligence operation. Well, it's definitely what it is, right? That's definitely what it's out there for, okay? They're trying to spy on our nuclear capabilities. It's really simple. Austin, who was visiting Camp Navarro in the Philippines when the news broke, convened a meeting with senior Department of Defense leaders and decided not to take military action due to the risk of safety and security of people on the ground and the possible debris field, according to a senior defense official. Yeah, so I understand the rationale for not shooting it down, but why would you not at least try to capture it? Now, they're saying that they have basically stopped its ability or limited its ability to collect surveillance, whatever that means, okay? Maybe they are, interrupting the signals or whatever. Who knows? But if I was, running the country, right, I would want to capture it, right? I would say, hey, look, let's not shoot it down. Let's actually just capture it and, examine it. Take it in so we can examine it and we can, figure out what this actually is. Is it from China? Is it, surveillance? Are they spying on us or what? And learn more about their technology or their, technological capabilities. But hey, again, I'm not running the country. This is Biden, right? And Biden, in my opinion, is showing weakness by kind of just letting this slide, okay? As allegedly, there could possibly be a second balloon. I was just reading about that as well, too, that is flying over Canada that may be trying to, go into U.S. airspace. Taiwan's military, meanwhile, activated aircraft, naval vessels, and land-based missile systems on Friday morning to monitor China's incursion. Yeah, so again, China is creeping up on us, not just domestically, but also internationally, in the Pacific, they are trying us, okay? And who knows? I mean, the tensions between the United States and China are at an all-time high. And some generals are saying that, hey, war is imminent, right? We could be at war with China as soon as 2025.
Bring in retired four-star General Jack Keane, former Army Vice Chair of Staff, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, and a Fox News senior strategic analyst. General, it's always great to have you on. We hear a lot of talk about General Mike Minihan saying the U.S. will be at war with China by 2025. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says no. In your case, General, you don't think it's as much about timing as how important it is having an effective military deterrence, which right now we don't have. Fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Trace. I mean, first of all, this general was talking in very blunt, direct language to his subordinates. And what we do in peacetime in all the services is prepare for war. And hopefully, by doing so, we're deterring war. And that's what he was doing. He was making certain his troops understood that war could be around the corner. We have all said the very same thing to our troops at different levels of command during our tenure. But what I think is really going on here, he just came out of the Pacific region. He's very conversant with what is taking place there and the fact that we have lost our military deterrence. It has eroded because of the 9/11 wars and budgets that don't meet the requirements. And he sees that and knows that China does have a military advantage right now. More ships, more planes, and certainly more missiles. And he doesn't certainly want them to take advantage of that, but it's possible they could. It's not knowable what's going on in President Xi's mind, whether it's a year, 2 years, or 5 years from now. But what is knowable is that our military deterrence is not what it should be. And I believe that is where the general's coming from, because he knows that we're vulnerable and we have got to fix it.
Yeah, so again, regardless of what you think about what he said, I think that there's definitely some truth to the fact that, hey, China thinks that we are vulnerable, right? Vulnerable enough that they had the cojones to fly a spy balloon into U.S. airspace over some nuclear installations. Again, that's a pretty ballsy move. That is a show of strength, okay? That is a show that we don't give a damn. It could be a response to Nancy Pelosi, who was Speaker of the House, visiting Taiwan just a few months ago. Who knows? But what I personally believe is that this is basically a sign of what China thinks about Joe Biden, what he thinks about the administration and their level of strength. Okay, he has no respect for the Biden administration, and again, flying what appears to be surveillance aircraft into U.S. airspace is just one of the most disrespectful things that you can do, right? It really is. It shows that, hey, we really don't give a damn about what you think. We don't think that you actually are going to try us. You're not going to shoot it down. You're not going to do anything, and we're just going to do what we want to do, right? So again, not a good look for the Biden administration. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.